This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 112. Models and Memories is a show about nothing and it is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 YouTube videos a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week I did tons and tons of prep for kill teams to come, and I did tons of experimenting with painting. But first, do you have a unique skill, perspective, or product that you want to show off to the world, but the only thing holding you back is making your own website? Well, Squarespace is here to help. Squarespace is the online website builder that can turn that nugget of an idea in your head into a fully fledged, crisp, professional-looking website. With dozens of award-winning templates to pick from, no matter what you're envisioning in your head, Squarespace has the tools you need to make it a reality. Squarespace's design suite comes packed with a whole host of social media features, including comment sections so you can engage directly with your audience, and integrated analytics so you'll always know what's going on online. Squarespace is the most trusted name in online website building, fair and square space. So head on over to Squarespace when you're ready to rock. Use our code EonsOfBattle to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Let's get through the upcoming kill teams that I want to buy, because I did a lot of analyzing. I've got to get my hands on the new Inquisitorial Agents box, although it's really frustrating that it doesn't come with an Inquisitor, because when is it just the Inquisitorial retinue who's off doing a mission? You gotta have the head honcho leading the pack. So I don't know which one of these agents I'm gonna be turning into the fully fledged Inquisitor, probably the Pistolier, but really what I was thinking about is I need to have all of the options. I don't even care if they've crafted this kill team in such a way that you have to play with only 7 operatives, which seems kind of crazy considering Space Marines are 6 operatives, and so somehow this fairly low model count army is gonna be better than 6 Space Marines, but I need to have all of the options because I really like all of these miniatures, and Games Workshop crushed me when they made it optional, so you only get one of the 4 coolest options out of the box. And they say in the article, well, you're gonna end up with all sorts of really cool bits. I have really cool bits. I can get really cool bits. I can make Nick 3D print me really cool bits, if he would say yes. But I need to get all of the options out of the box. And so I was thinking about what bodies could I use to replace the bodies that I'm gonna use up for this kill team. And I hunted through basically everything on Games Workshop's web store, and I didn't find anything I really liked. My first thought was the Necromunda Hivescum box. I thought that must be the absolute perfect thing because it's 4 simple bodies, separate arms, separate heads. That should be the absolute perfect thing. And it is. It's the correct scale. It's the correct kind of sort of look, but they're very, very obviously Necromunda. It would work for the Necromunda guy that comes in this box, but other than that, their clothing is very tattered and ramshackle, and it's kind of like a hybrid armor of Gene Stealer cults and stuff like that. And so, even though those bodies would be the easiest way to go about filling out the rest of this box, it's not really gonna be perfect. It's not gonna give me the look I want, because these guys should look kind of regal and well put together, well dressed. They shouldn't look really all messed up. Maybe I could do a thing where they've just survived a battle, and so that's why they're all really, really beat up. But it's hard to get chainmail into a proper looking Inquisition force. So I think I found what I'm going to do, and it's very odd. I'm planning on using the Fulgurite Electro Priests from the Adeptus Mechanicus. For 2 reasons. Number 1, they're about the right size. I really like how their Dick Tabard has got a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of got this calligraphy, really pretty looking design to it. They look important and impressive. The Inquisition does get to take from anywhere they want from all of the Imperium of Mankind. And I feel if you lose the heads and the arms, they kind of just look like super roided up bodies. And so the idea of an Inquisitor kind of backed up by a bunch of really, really buff dudes is really funny to me. And I think that these guys, especially if I didn't paint them the way the Electro Priests are painted, I don't think anyone would probably pick up on that. I'm just basically using these units. Also, I don't see the Electro Priests a lot just out there in the wild, on Facebook or on Instagram, even though they're really, really cool miniatures. Maybe people don't feel like they fit very well into the Adeptus Mechanicus. or they just look so weird that a lot of people don't want to pull the trigger on them. But I think this is how I'm gonna fill out the rest of my Inquisition force, is with big buff Electro Priest guys. And I really like that they're kind of weirdly veiny, but their veins are like in circuit board shapes. It's a really, really fun idea. It's kind of like in Iron Man 2 when Tony Stark was like dying of Iron Man-itis and he had like electro rashes that looked like circuit boards under his skin. And it's the silliest thing in the world, but I just adore the Iron Man trilogy so much. It's awesome. Iron Man? Yeah, Electro Priests. These are the bodies I'm gonna use. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna require a lot of kit bash and converting to make the whole thing look cohesive, like it makes any sense, which is kind of annoying. I think the pinnacle of really cool, like, not Inquisitor, but Imperium of Man kill teams is the Euclidean Starstriders. Those guys are sick. They look like a gaggle, like a little roving band of rogue traders. They all share a look. They're very, very detailed. They are monopose, and these are multi-part, so it makes it a little easier to do this converting that I'm thinking about doing, but I would have preferred just rock solid, awesome sculpts right out of the gate. Like, they're fine. They're fine, but they're a little bland, a little bit boring. When I read the Eisenhorn novels, I don't picture these guys. I picture, cooler looking, more interesting, and more dynamically posed characters than Games Workshop's offering. But I have a plan moving forward. On the Chaos half is all perfect. I loved all of the new Cultist stuff. And so this new box is going to be great. It's going to come out and we're actually going to try narrative. The narrative rules for Kill Team look really, really good, but we've only really been playing the competitive rules just because we don't get to play that often. And so it's hard to okay, these next 8 games we're going to play are all going to follow this one narrative and they're going to build on top of each other. It's much easier to sit down and be like, I want to play Custodes today. I want to play Adeptus Mechanicus today. I want to play Tau today. I never want to play Tau, but Sean only wants to play Tau. It's pretty rough. But speaking of kill teams, Games Workshop showed off a new kill team thing that is both pretty darn cool and really, 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 really frustrating. Games Workshop is coming out with another batch of Space Marine Heroes. I think this is Space Marine Heroes Series 4. I don't think it says, but it is definitely Series 4, because first we had normal Space Marines, and then we had Terminators, and then we had the Death Guard that everybody went absolutely crazy for because they were really, really cool miniatures. I bought a bunch of them, and they're like the coolest things in my Death Guard army, an army that's already full of really, really cool things. Oh my gosh, the thing I absolutely love about the Series 3 models is that it came with helmeted and unhelmeted heads for the Death Guard. And the Death Guard don't really ever have helmetless heads, and I really, really like it. And so I've been searching on Facebook groups and eBay for people, because everybody glues on the helmet. Because the helmet's pretty awesome and is much easier to paint. And so I just want to get as many of those helmetless Death Guard heads as I possibly can. I just want those for my collection. But anyway, this is Series 4, and it's primarily Space Marines. And it's pretty cool. I like the idea of these. It's nice to go into a Warhammer store and see a product for under $12, because that's fairly unheard of. I mean, I guess the paints are technically a little bit less than that, but it's nice just to have a little thing there so that I imagine a lot of parents are going into the Warhammer store and then they buy one Space Marine Heroes for their kid, and then they get themselves something really big and expensive. But it's fair because you both got something. I like Space Marine Heroes a lot. They're really, really cool, and it's a great way to get more interesting sculpts out there into the world and on eBay, so that you just have more options when you're constructing your army. And these models look great. You get a whole gaggle of Primary Space Marines of different types. You get some people in Gravis armor, you get some Eliminators, you get a new Space Marine Captain who is really, really cool. I like the new Space Marine Captain, Power Fist and Plasma Pistol. I'll probably end up picking up this guy because I missed out, I think 2 years ago, there was, I think, a store birthday captain that was a Power Fist and Plasma Pistol that was really, really cool, and I wanted it. And I happened to be visiting home, and so I was at my Warhammer store that I used to go to when I was a kid, and I was there. I happened to be there on the store birthday. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And so right before I was gonna head back to Wisconsin, I stopped at the Warhammer store to pick up my bounty. And apparently you just pre-order it that day and then it ships to the store and you can pick it up. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be here. And the manager I know really well wasn't there. I probably would have just like figured something out with him for him to hold it for me, but I missed out. I missed out on that guy. That totally doesn't matter. I already have a bunch of Space Marine captains, but I like this new one. This new one is pretty much exactly the same thing. And so I'll probably end up picking this guy up. The rest of them are just normal Primaris, and so I probably wouldn't get them because I play Warhammer 40k and Kill Team, and so I need like the full amount of stuff. Although speaking of Kill Team, this is actually a Kill Team, and that's really great. Space Marines are the most popular faction, and so it's good to have a lot of options for Space Marines. Originally, when Kill Team 21 dropped, there was the Compendium, which had a lot of options for Space Marines. You could take normal Space Marines, Scouts, and Intercessors, and they each were kind of their own separate kill team. Ooh, and Grey Knights and Death Watch. Death Watch is still a really fun kill team. I play it a lot. It's so much fun because they have the Death Watch bolt guns that have different ammo options, and so every single time you get to shoot, you get to look at this chart and be like, do I want to turn off his cover? Do I want to get rid of one of his saves? Do I want, like, you get options, and it's really fun. Overall, I think that the more bespoke teams are a little bit better than the Death Watch one from the Compendium, but I just like playing it. It's a really, really fun team. I've actually beaten Sean with it, which is amazing. In the article, it's a little bit unclear how this makes up a kill team because there's, in the entire range of this Series 4, there's 7 different sculpts. I can't imagine it's going to be a 7-body kill team because Space Marine kill teams are always 6-body. Including like the Chaos Space Marine and the Death Guard. Like, you don't get that many options because each guy is so big. And this comes with like a captain and a dude in Gravis armor, so there's no way that all 7 of these guys are gonna be balanced against a team that's only 6 guys. So presumably you leave one out. What I hope is you're completely free to take as many of each operative as you want. It's probably not that, but that would be my preference because if I buy 6 of these things to put together a kill team, I'm probably not going to end up with the entire set. And it does feel a little lame to just buy a set like this that's kind of meant to be kind of a blind bag thing. I don't dislike blind bags. I think they're kind of fun because usually it's just like a dumb little thing and you open it up and you're like, oh cool, I got the purple Deadpool, that's great. But if you're meant to buy an entire pack of blind bags and then you just open them up and you have them all, it kind of takes that fun element out of it. And then is Games Workshop, because usually what happens with these things is that they're just sitting on the counter at your friendly local game store or at the Warhammer store, and you just pick one randomly, or they pick one randomly for you, and then you get what you get. But here, because it's a kill team and people love kill team, you're gonna want the entire set. And so how is it gonna work to make sure that everybody who wants it gets the whole set? I mean, it's Games Workshop, so they don't seem to care if everybody wants one to make sure that everybody gets one, which seems wild to me. There's always this conspiracy that Games Workshop is creating artificial scarcity, but I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense because Games Workshop prices are pretty set in stone. Like, they're never like, oh, well, we can only make, 20,000 of the new edition box, so we're gonna charge $500. We're gonna inflate that price to match like the demand for it. The price is the price. Like, we know how much everything is gonna cost. And we know that every single year it's going to cost just a little bit more. So I assume that they literally are just, their manufacturing can only output so much stuff and the demand is too high. So hopefully they'll make some new factories or something. But I don't know, this is a really, really weird thing. I hope that you just buy 6 of these things and that's your kill team. And so it's 2 Eliminators, 2 Space Marine captains, and then 2 normal guys with chain swords. I feel like that would actually be a pretty cool kill team because like, a kill team of all Eliminators, a kill team of all Gravis guys with the big giant Gravis bolt guns, 6 captains. That it couldn't possibly be 6 captains because Power Fists and Plasma Pistols are really good in kill team. And so if you're not forced to take some of the options that aren't as amazing, like chain swords and normal bolt guns, I can't imagine the kill team working out mathematically. It's a very odd thing. And also what's crazy is that this is a thing for Kill Team, which is a very competitive game that people go really, really hard on. There's big Kill Team tournaments all over the place and people always want to be using like the newest, coolest stuff. Like, no one's gonna be able to get their hands on this. Even when it's out, it's only coming out to like Warhammer stores first, and then later on it'll be made available at an undisclosed time and place. So how are people gonna get the thing that they want to play it in the game that they want? It doesn't really make any sense. It's a cool thing, but man, I have so many questions. Although maybe it's fine that I might not be able to actually get this, because I have a lot of kill teams in the works. A lot of kill teams. And I actually need your help deciding like the order of operations. Which one is going to be up first? I have the Adeptus Arbites, the Warhammer 40k Police, the Chaos Blooded Legionnaires, the Traitor Guardsmen, the Leagues of Votan / Chaos Beastmen, that new box that just came out, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and I just got a new kill team in the mail. I want to put together a Tyranid kill team, and I want it to be only with the retro 2nd edition kill team models. So you can, in the kill team, in the Hive Fleet kill team, you can take 3 options. You can take Tyranid Warriors, Gaunts, or Gene Stealers. And I have retro Gene Stealers, and now I have retro Gaunts. I don't have retro Warriors. They're really, really hard to get online, but I would kind of like 8 Gaunts and 3 Warriors. I feel like that would be a really interesting kill team, especially with the Synapse rules only being available in the Tyranid Warriors. So if you run Gaunts and Stealers or all Stealers, which does seem to be what most people go for, is an all Gene Stealer list, you kind of miss out on Synapse. But I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me to track down all of those Tyranid Warriors, because usually it's like 1 Warrior, $30, 3 out of the 4 arms. Make of it what you will. And so I don't have a lot of retro bits. I have a lot of Tyranid bits, but not retro bits. And it needs to be all retro. So of all of those kill teams, I think the one that I'm most excited for is the Adeptus Mechanicus. I am heavily converting and kit bashing them, and it's taking me forever because there's so many things on the painting desk in between them and me. But I have like 3.5 of them put together out of like 12 operatives. So of those kill teams, which one is like the most interesting? Which one would you like to most see a video made about them? I mean, I'm probably gonna make a video about all of these things, but which one's the one with the juice? Which one's got the spice? Maybe retro Tyranids. Although these guys are gonna need a good long soak in acetone to get this paint off, because one of 2 things is gonna happen. Either that paint comes right off, or it is going to be an incredible amount of scrubbing and picking at it with toothpicks to get all of the old paint off. But technically, these guys are slightly wrong because they have the old spike rifles, which is, I don't think, an available gun to the Tyranids anymore, but I'm just gonna call them the normal guns. And I actually did manage to get some of the special guns. I don't know what gun that was supposed to be way back in 2nd edition, but the Gaunts are actually, they're not good at shooting, but they're not bad at shooting. It took me a long time to decide between the Termagants or the Ormagants for this kill team, because Ormagants they're not good, but they can actually hit pretty darn hard, where the regular Gaunts, they're not that great at shooting and they're not great at fighting, but they're 8 dudes. 8 dudes backed up with Synapse and Tyranid Warriors, I feel like would still be a pretty formidable force on the tabletop. I'm not completely sure. I might also need to try out those Coat d'Arms paints, like literally have the old Games Workshop paint to paint the old Games Workshop miniatures. I don't think it'll probably matter, because I tend to think paint is paint is paint is paint. It doesn't really matter. You can just match colors, but it might be a fun experiment to run. And speaking of running experiments, oh boy, did I do some experimenting this week. I gave oil paints another try. I've been watching a lot of James Wapple, and he did a series of painting up these Mantic Armada ships, which, by the way, Mantic Armada, fantastic game. We've been playing it. Sean has just been wiping the floor with me. But it's a really, really fun boat game. And so I've been trying out oil paints because I'm not good at them. I've over the course of 10 years, I've gotten decent at acrylic paints, but all of these other little things I just struggle with. And oil paint is another thing I struggle with, but I try to follow his tutorial as closely as possible, and I feel like I actually had some success. I painted up 4 of these boats in an afternoon, so like about 5 hours of painting for 4 boats. I feel like that's pretty darn good. And even though these aren't painted perfectly, I feel like the things that I was able to do on these is things that would have been really, really challenging to do with regular acrylic paints. Just kind of getting the blending and the shading in exactly the areas I want. because I could have done this with acrylic paints and a lot of speed paints, and it probably would have painted up a little bit faster, but they wouldn't look as dirty and grimy. Like, that's the kind of the thing that oil paints offer, is just the easy blending. Also, they're still wet, and I did these about 2 days ago. They're not wet. I would say they're a tad moist. I would definitely not want to put a varnish on them right now. I'm probably going to give them at least 1 whole week, and then I'll double check to see if they're ready for a varnish then. But 4 ships in an afternoon. I could paint up my entire Basilion fleet this week, and that would be pretty darn cool, because we may or may not have a lot of Armada stuff ready to go. I have a question. If anybody out there plays Armada, are the sea monsters broken? The Trident Realms? Because they seem really, really good. Some of their special abilities seem oddly powerful. And of course, Sean has been manning them, so it could just be like the Sean factor in this. But it seems like, compared to the Basilion and the Orc fleets, the Trident Realms are really, really powerful and kind of struggling to defeat them. So any information would be very much appreciated. Oil paints, I'm having a really, really good time with them, trying out some new things. Definitely going to be trying out a lot more things with oils. The thing I'm really struggling with, because really the way that these are painted up is I base coated the whole thing a tan color, and then I just painted on a black mixed with brown, so it was really, really dark, and then I took makeup sponges and wiped everything away. And that worked beautifully. But when it came time to lay more colors on top of that, they just wipe away. Like I painted white on the sails, and then it just wiped away. I don't get how to make it stick. Like, I get that oil paints behave very differently to acrylic paints. They're kind of the opposite, but I just had such a hard time actually painting. Like, it feels like a really cool special effect when you lay on a base coat and then wipe it away, because it just stays in the grime, like in the recesses, and creates this really lovely grime. It's kind of like a wash paint that you can really, really manipulate. But then when it comes time to actually paint, I really, really struggle. I tried laying it on really thick, and it just sort of sat on top. And then I tried to kind of blend it in, and it worked for the most part. I tried laying it on really, really thin, and it would just kind of flow into the recesses that I already really liked the shading going on in them. I'm definitely gonna have to experiment a lot more with the oils. I really like it. I think they're really, really cool, and I think they offer up a lot of possibilities, because my dream is to be able to paint anything really, really well, really, really fast, because I want to play every single war game under the sun, and I want to play them the way they're meant to be played, with every single thing painted properly. And so right now I can paint anything with acrylics, but it takes a long time. Other interesting things like oil paints definitely speed up and offer different things you can do in different ways and in different amounts of time, but they offer their own challenges. And yeah, definitely going to have to keep trying. But 4 ships, 5 hours. I'm really happy with how these turned out. I think they're pretty darn slick, and hopefully, because we all know that painted miniatures perform better on the tabletop, and so hopefully with my painted Basilion fleet, I will be able to defeat Sean and those pesky, pesky Trident Realm ships. Sean may be able to ruin my fun when we're playing war games, but you know what he can't ruin? That's right, our Patreon. Over there, we have a new STL terrain pack every single month. This month, we have the Orc Brewery, the unofficial sequel to HEROS, complete with new wall elements and a Goth Rocker stage. You can get the whole pack on our Patreon at the EOB Terrain tier, all hosted by Comics, Games, and Things, or you can find our tribes over at My Mini Factory. And we have new merch in the form of stickers, EOB stickers. You can find this on our website, linked in the description below. Let me know in the comments below what kill team you want to see me do next. I'm going to be working steadily on all of them, and I hope to have all of them finished before Kill Team Season 3 starts. I have to have them all done before Kill Team Season 3 starts, or else nothing will happen, but that's just a goal of mine. Thanks for watching.